Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Hello if you are new. Today I wanted to share my first 2 months of 2023 on Etsy with you, my progress and my stats, including the tips that I've learned along the way to help my shop succeed. I've had my store up and running for 18 months, a year to 18 months now, but I only really started taking it seriously at the end of 2022. So this year I'm going to track my growth and see what strategies I can implement to help my shop succeed. All of which I will share with you guys so that we can go through the journey together. I wasn't particularly sure whether it was worth making this video or not, mainly because when you YouTube search like Etsy growth, first month on Etsy, etc. some of these videos, they've made hundreds of sales in their first month. But I personally think my level of progress is a little more realistic. For example, my goal for all of 2022 was to make 100 sales, not just in 1 month. In this video, I'm going to share my tips on how to get started on Etsy, as well as ways you can set your shop up for success without burning out. If you're just starting out on Etsy, I think that these tips will be really helpful for you, and hopefully you can also reach your own personal shop goals. Give this video a like and subscribe to my channel if you want to follow along my Etsy journey for 2023. If you have any questions at all about Etsy in general or things that I've done for my shop, please put them in the comments below and I'll do my best to either answer them there or I'll answer them all in the next progress update. So the first thing I think is really important with your Etsy store is to really work out what you're selling and making sure it's something that people are going to want to buy. For me, this has been a little bit of a journey because I originally started out by selling digital art prints, which is fine, but I didn't really have much of a following online at that point. Like, I'd still say I'm a pretty small fish, you know, but back then I was a little teeny fish. So what I was selling wasn't really searchable. I couldn't figure out how to optimize those listings for people to be able to find them unless they were looking for me. What I was selling wasn't searchable and it wasn't really something that the algorithm could help me out with either. After that, I decided to move more into stickers, which proved to be a lot more of a success, and I think the main reason for that is because I did fan art stickers. So they were like Rory and Lorelai from Gilmore Girls and Max and Chrissy from Stranger Things, Wednesday Addams, etc. Things that people might be looking for already and they're not finding just because they're trying to find me. One thing that's also helpful is to try and find a way to be unique with your product compared to everything else that is online. For example, my Gilmore Girls stickers, a lot of the ones I was seeing were either direct images or they were sort of traced over images, if that makes sense, whereas mine was an actual caricature of the characters, so that made them a little bit different, and I think that helped. And then after that I moved into Notion templates. This was purely because when I searched for them on Etsy, I couldn't find very many when I first started selling these. So now my current store are stickers and Notion templates, which might sound a bit random, but that's where it is now. Another tip I would have for the items that you put in your store is to make sure there's something that you actually enjoy making. For long-term success, you're going to have to keep creating new versions and new options for people and to keep growing your store. So you don't want to make something that you then don't want to keep making. That's why I've done stickers and Notion templates. They're two things I love. I love drawing and packaging up the stickers and printing them and all of that. And then I also love using Notion and customizing it and then sharing that with other people. Try and find something for you that you really enjoy doing. Next tip, market research. I know everyone says market research, but there's a reason everyone says market research. I've watched lots of tutorials and looked up lots of things online on how to do this, and I am by no means an expert. I honestly have the teeniest grasp on it, but it's one of those things that can evolve over time. So you can start and list an item, and then if it's not performing, change it. Change the title, change the tags, change the images, change anything, and see if that improves. That'll help with your SEO over time, figuring out what is working and what's not. And use Etsy as a research tool. So search on Etsy what you think people will search for your items and see what's there. See what other people are selling so that you can make something different or you can make something better. One thing with market research is it can be a little bit of a rabbit hole. It's something that you can keep researching and keep looking into and keep working on. I think, honestly, indefinitely. I don't think there's ever an end point. Do research, but don't overdo it. I'm currently reading Atomic Habits, and there's this one quote that just completely resonated with me because it is something I am shocking at doing. We are so focused on figuring out the best approach that we never get around to taking action. The best is the enemy of the good. So this is sort of talking about the difference between being in motion and taking action, and they are not the same thing. You could be researching and setting up ideas for products forever and never actually get around to making and listing the products. So while you feel like you're being productive, which you technically are, you're not actually moving forward. So just be careful when you're researching, doing market research, SEO research, etc., to make sure you're actioning these items that you're researching too. Don't just keep motioning. So just be careful not to use it as an excuse to not start. In terms of SEO, I recommend keeping this as accurate to your item as you can. Most customers on Etsy are looking for something specific, so they're searching for what they want. And if you're putting tags on your items that aren't quite what you're selling, if those people find it, then they're not going to buy it anyway because it's not what they want. Make sure you use tags that really accurately describe your product so that people who want that particular thing can find it. Next tip, make your product amazing. There's nothing wrong with spending a little bit of extra time on the product itself to make sure it's good. You want when the customer buys that product to love it, so that then they will submit a really good review, and that review will then help your shop also. I know I personally always look at reviews for shops like Etsy because it's coming from a small business or a person. You want to know that it's legit and that it's good. So if other people have said that they're happy with what they've purchased, then I'm more likely to purchase it myself also. I'm really proud that currently, as of today, I've made 173 sales total, and out of those sales, I've received 55 reviews, and all of them have been 5-star so far. I really hope I'm not jinxing it by saying that, but I think that's amazing. I'm so happy with that, and I appreciate every single person who's left a review and has helped my store to grow because the reviews are so important. I also think another thing to keep in mind is to provide excellent customer service. You want to keep your customers happy and hopefully coming back and buying more things from you in the future. Even if they favorite your shop, then they will see when you list new items, and they're more likely to purchase from you again if they remember that they've had a good experience with you in the past. Not only does the product itself need to be really good, but the listing photos need to be really good. This is the first impression that your customer is going to see of your product. If they're a visual person like me, I will look at the pictures, I won't read the description. Unless I've looked at all the pictures in detail and then I'm kind of curious, I'll read the description, but the pictures are like the most important thing. You also want to make sure that they're going to catch people's attention when they're scrolling through Etsy. So again, use Etsy as a search tool and search for those items that you're going to list and see if there's a way to stand out from the others that are showing up in search. Whether that's with a different color scheme, different fonts, different layouts entirely, just something to make you look different and unique. This can also kind of be trial and error, and I know I've changed my listing images about 5 times over the course of owning my shop. I've gone through and completely rejigged the pictures multiple times. And this is partially due to, I want the overall aesthetic of my store to be cohesive. So I have my branding colors and my color scheme. That's the same thing. My branding colors and my textures and fonts and all of that, they match throughout all of my listings, and they also match on my YouTube and my Instagram, so that no matter where someone finds me, it will have that feel of me and my brand. And I think that's just helpful in the long run, so that if anyone sees another one of your listings, they will know it's you straight away. And if you've left that good customer impression, then they'll come and buy your product again. So basically, the marketing of your product needs to be as good as the product itself. If you're interested in hearing more about how to create your own personal brand, then check out the video I'll pop up in the top corner where I go into that in more detail. Another tip I'd recommend is to start small, but just start. You don't need 20, 50, however many listings to open an Etsy store. You just need one. And while your growth will be quite slow with one, you still can grow. And as you create new listings, you can just add them over time. This is something that I've personally done. I've never done big shop updates. I've just added a listing at a time as they're ready. And I haven't had any issues with that. So now we'll get into my stats. I'll pop up some images over the screen to show you my exact Etsy stats for this year so far for January and February, compared also to the same stage last year. As I mentioned, this time last year I was not putting as much effort into my store, so you would hope there's some growth, but it still does show the difference that effort has made. You can see especially my search results have grown a lot over this time, and that comes back to the SEO optimization that I've done. So my tags are really accurate to my products, my description describes the products really well, and my titles also have keywords in them and describe what the product is. I did use Etsy ads very sporadically during both of these months, and I don't really have any strategy with this. All I do is if I list a new product, I'll push it out on ads for a couple of days and just see if the click-through rate is working, and if it's quite high, and that means it is piquing people's interest, and then I'll sort of shut it down. Because I don't know if this is like a red flag, but I've never made a huge amount of sales from ads, and I've also never put a huge amount of money into ads. So for me, they're kind of like a tester, but I'm not really ready to invest a lot of money into them either. So ultimately, Etsy has brought in 63% of the visits into my shop in January, and then 74% in February, which is pretty decent because that means that's all coming from the work I've put into my listings, and people are finding them on Etsy. So they're not finding them through my external promotion, which is amazing. And that's what I really wanted. I do promote my products on my own social media, but it's mainly just here on YouTube and on my Instagram, and neither have had a huge amount of uptick. I did get mentioned in like a blog post of the best TV tracking Notion templates in December last year. The direct clicks for January are quite high, like they've never been that high before, and that's purely from that recommendation, which was pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. But as you can see, the House Shoppers Found Me stats have grown during both months, and that's all you can really hope for. So there we have it. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope it gave you a little bit of insight into how you can get started with your own Etsy store. And I hope my growth can inspire others to sort of just branch out and just give it a go. It's never gonna be an amazing quick, like 100 sales in a day, I don't think, unless you're in the very minority. But there's nothing wrong with just giving it a go and seeing what happens. We'll check back in either next month or the month after. I might do them in 2-month blocks, and we'll see how we've progressed during that time. Let me know what your shop goals are in the comments below for this year, and we'll see if we can reach them all together. Also, leave any questions that you have about Etsy or my shop, or honestly anything, and I'll answer them in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.